Hello and welcome to Walford United WFC. Hello and welcome to Walford United with me, John Foster, MUFC. We've got Natalie, Andy, Catherine joining us tonight. How's everybody doing?
That's good.
Excellent. I've titled this show, nice one, Catherine. Good to have you back. I've titled this show something along the lines of no wingers, no problem. We've got a scrolling message coming along the bottom saying same again against Villa. Fans got their wish. They got both Risa and Ladd on the pitch in a slightly different way to maybe what we originally thought. We'll get into this match, obviously. Man United obviously won 2-0, and it was potentially one of our best performances of the season. I want to get into this because at the start of before the game kicked off, or before the squad even got announced, I thought maybe Skinner would do something different. I got my prediction wrong. I thought maybe a false nine, just do something different like that. We had a bit of success at the start of the season with the false nine, and I could kind of understand it. I know Nat's shaking her head because she's against it. I think a lot of people are against it. But I thought he might have done something different. But to play 5 so-called centre midfielders in a line of 5, I thought is quite bold. So we'll get into that. Natalie, let's start off with yourself. Obviously, you was at the game with Andy. What was your thoughts when the starting lineup came out?
I think a lot of us were just on the way on the big bus down, and Andy will vouch. It was a fucking top thing. I think that's what got everyone up for it, because I think everyone was together, and I think as soon as we sort of stepped into that stadium, we were on it. They knew, like, Brighton fans were looking at us like, God, these guys, what are they doing? And so I think that's definitely helped. I always big up the fans and say, like, you know, the fan base helped, and I think it did definitely today. But I think when we saw the lineup, I just saw Risa, and I was just like, yes. Then I saw Ladd, I was like, yes. And then I thought, oh shit, there's no wingers. And I thought, what's going on? But I did think, you know, we needed to sort of play. How can you say that? Like, some people needed to maybe not play. You know what I mean? Like, needed a rest. You know, I think he's saying about 3 games. I think he did what a lot of us wanted. For me, I think Ladd is just. I know Risa won't play the match, and I'll never say, like, oh, she doesn't deserve it or anything. Of course she did. I think she's another one just... But Ladd, you know, I've seen Craig saying it about, you know, his pro-amation is this, but he's surprised Ladd's not playing. Ladd is just everything. Ladd makes us tick. You know, singing 12 Haley Lads, you know, because it's a Christmas song.
It's a great cardiovascular workout.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Yeah. Whichever player's got a normal song and a Christmas song, you know what I'm saying? But she deserves it. She's absolutely a different class. And it's just, someone said it's not rocket science. Play her, lad. And that's what I think. Yeah, it's not rocket science. She's there. She's the best player. You know, it was just good.
We played her, lad, but it was like a kind of different setup to what we're used to, isn't it? You know, like playing alongside other centre midfielders. But she still obviously performed in that role that was asked of her.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're reaching out to someone else there.
Yeah, no, whoever. Andy
I prefer the setup that they had last week. Like, to be fair to Elisa Russo, it's only her 2nd year, but United don't have like an out-and-out striker. So trying to diversify where the goals can come from is necessary. And I think this better suited kind of that issue, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you alluded to, I was on the bus. I mean, just a few thoughts on that. I mean, it was great. No, it was really good. You know, I think there's a few things on social media when we did Risa's song, and she commented on it, which was obviously great and gives you a bit of a buzz. Same with Mary Earps and Mannion, I think, as well. Also has seen it, so we had a bit of fun on the bus on the way down. You see, the thing is, when Nat said, like, when it was announced about wingers, and she was like, she literally was, as in she made the noise. Literally, I was standing next to her, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, to be honest, I think I was concerned initially with the interview we gave on Friday, where he was written on about performances. And I think, to be honest, I don't want to paraphrase the NFL, but I kind of like the old "just win, baby" idea of the Raiders. And I think he needs to remember that please win first, and we can talk about the performances later. I'm not so interested about the performances, and obviously it's good that you're trying to. Oh, it's good to be back, John, on here. I tell you. And I think so. To be honest, I think that hopefully Skinner's starting to understand that it's important to get a win, because he said some relatively silly things about well, if you could just take this away. But if I lost 2 stone, I'd be thinner. It's not like it's not as clear. But yeah, in relation to the game, I mean, no wingers, I didn't really know what he was getting at. To be honest, it did work well. Obviously, we had a lot of chances, and we did pepper the goal. What I would say, without being too negative, is that at some point, Brighton couldn't hit a barn door, and if we were playing a team that could, we probably would have gone behind. So we got lucky in that respect, and I think it's a stopgap measure, because obviously United play counter-attacking football, exciting football, well, they used to anyway, in an attacking sort of way from the width, and that's why it's been frustrating as fans at some points, where you would almost see us on the far left or the far right. There's almost enough room to land the plane at one point, because they just carried on, just going down one. So from a defensive point of view, it's dead easy to sort of see what we were going to do. And I would also say that he did bring Galton on, so to say we didn't use wingers is a bit of a misnomer, because she is a winger. But I think essentially maybe the most positive spin on it I can say is that it's given us a way maybe to limp through until we sort out the striker situation. And he's found a good sort of stopgap that's a bit unusual as well from a sort of opposing manager's perspective. How do you deal with a team that doesn't really use wingers? It's a bit of a weird one. So that might have worked obviously this week, but possibly Carla Ward and Villa will probably adjust, and actually maybe it might not work as well on Sunday, and obviously tomorrow on Wednesday against Everton.
Can I say something about your fan base? So I watched the game here. I just rewatched it this morning, and my dad walks down and sits up. And at the beginning of here, when they start the game, they'll have whatever's being said. But if not, they just put the stadium sound. And he sits down and he looks at the screen and he goes, "Is this away are they at Man United?" He was confused because your fans were so loud that he thought it was a home game, and he couldn't figure out why Brighton was listed first. So you have very vocal fans is what I'm trying to say.
So what did you think of this game then, Catherine, compared to some of the previous games that you've seen this season for United?
I think one of the things, and to be fair, I've only watched a small number of United games this year, but one of the things that I find frustrates me when I watch them is you're slow to get in the game. I don't know if this is something that Skinner is working on and this is engineered, but it seems to be a slow burn to actually start. And like Andy kind of touched on just moments ago, Brighton weren't very threatening this week. I found they weren't very creative moving forward. And I mean, in the first half, they barely entered United's half. So it didn't really come against them this game, but watching them sometimes, it feels that because they're slow to start and they don't come out with urgency, it invites the other team, even if United have control, to kind of come into the game and to try to take over.
Can I jump in on that one then? Because I thoroughly agree with that, what you're saying. And one of the reasons why Man United fans and English fans in general doesn't like maybe the way Skinner plays is because it is slow and it is possession based. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the reasons why we do that is to try and get the opposing players out of position, to try and work it around that way, which is a potential clever technique. And obviously it's not worked out for us just yet in many games, but I do think that the actual idea works. It's just how to get it to work. And that is where I kind of defend Skinner a little bit, because I think the actual tactic would work if they could actually find a way of making it work, if that makes sense.
I absolutely I agree, but the problem is that because they're inviting these teams in, I find sometimes they've lost control of the game.
That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah,
they never come back with a sense of urgency. Like, we have to get into this.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I think the opposite of John. I think sort of how you're saying, Catherine. They're slow into it, and I don't know if it's like a fitness thing or building up into it. I don't know, or if it's sort of when they. They're still trying to get get used to him.
He did the same thing at Orlando. Like, Orlando, when you started watching them at the beginning, you'd be like, do you realize the goal is on the other side? Like, get forward.
But what I will say, with Vilda being...
That doesn't sound so familiar. Sorry.
With Vilda actually being in there, like, forward playing, not as a 6. Well, she was as a 10, really. With Vilda being there, she was there. She should have scored within the first. I'm sure she'll tell you, I should have had goals. She should have scored 2 in the first half. And even Skinner says, we should have been 3-4-0 up within the first half. And I feel like if Vilda had scored that, I think that's how we are as a team as well. We go through, how can I say, phases. And I feel like if something doesn't go our way, it takes us a long time to then deal with it. So that build a chance at the start, it's then we didn't score that. And then obviously she made a save, that keeper again with her legs. And it went out to Tooney, and Tooney didn't score. That was blocked. And it's sort of as if then we all think, it's all piling up against us, I think it's like a mental thing as well. I think they just need to have that belief in themselves. You're one-on-one with a keeper, bang, you're going to score. And I think there's a chance when Leslie, she was one-on-one, and then she passed it off and it didn't go, and then everyone's frustrated, and then she was just overly playing it in a way. Then after that, she was like trying to score too much, and I just think, the fans are there. We were right behind that goal, so we were going mad when the lads scored. But every chance that went by, it was more frustration. You could tell they could hear it.
If I could just jump in, I think we touched that Brighton weren't necessarily offensive, but you really have to give it to their goalie, Mary Walsh, and also one of their center backs, I think it's Victoria Williams, because in both their cases, they kept United from being 3 or 4 up at the half through excellent goalkeeping and really good defending just in that final third, because there were a couple of tries that, with another keeper, if Williams hadn't interfered, could have easily gone in from United.
Yeah, I also noticed actually some of the it's a weird skill to see, because most people mess it up and end up giving a penalty away, but their defenders are really good at throwing bodies as well. There's a couple of times where they actually, almost like goalkeepers, sort of threw their chest at it and dived and managed to block off the line, and that's really
well. There was one that wasn't, and I think we did shout for handball, but the ref,
But to be honest, not to get shot by our own fan base, was also a point where Katie Zan clearly handballed.
Yeah.
And so that was one.
Well, they evened themselves out, didn't they? But,
exactly. Yeah.
That was like you said. She went in like that, but she sort of pushed her arm up, so that was definitely a handball for me from that. That's what she did. Her hands were behind the back, but she swung her elbow.
The Brighton one, but there was one where literally Katie and a little hand went like that. But it was, but for once
it levelled it up, didn't it? But I was just saying about the defending, isn't it? It's they were throwing themselves at it, but then and another day that ref gives that penalty, and then we're 1-0 up and it's different. And I think, like he says, isn't it? No disrespect to Villa, but I think, for me, Meg Walsh is one of the best keepers. I think Hannah Hampton's a really good keeper, but I think we'll have more chances against Villa, in my opinion. I don't think their defenders are as good as Brighton defenders. So, like you're saying about Viv Williams throwing us out, I don't think they've got a Viv Williams, and I think a lot of them chances that she was blocking, maybe Villa won't block and they will go in.
Yeah,
but that's a different thing.
No, I'll just pick on that, and I'll pick on the quote that's been on the screen too long. It's now starting to unnerve me. Because obviously I don't want a behind closed doors. I'll do that first. The short answer is no. I'm not worried about a behind closed doors game. I think that maybe it might not be obvious. I don't know if that person's UK or non-UK based, but I think ultimately, I think once the boosters go through, we might have some slight restrictions, but I don't think you're going to get much compliance with what's going on with the government at the moment. And
one would hope that even if is a restriction in how many people can go, the stadium is so huge that you could just spread out the fans that would go throughout it.
Yeah,
one would hope.
Yeah, but I mean, you need to remember when it is as well. It's March, so you know, naturally, even without vaccines and all this kind of business, you do get it getting a bit easier towards March. So you would hope that. I mean, the problem with what we're going to have with Old Trafford, and everyone seems to forget this, and not all Premiership stadiums are the same. So, you know, when City had United at the Etihad and they had 55,000 or was it 35? They had quite a lot. It was almost full. It looked good, but they could because their stadium's a lot smaller than ours. Mm-hmm. And obviously ours is 77,000. And I'm not a men's fan, but any of the men's fans will tell you that Old Trafford that isn't at least half full is painful to be in and to see. So it is a big risk. And we are hoping for a big turnout, you know, and hopefully we will get that turnout. But it might come quite late, as you say. People might be sitting off before they start buying the tickets because they're wondering about COVID. So to give the direction, I don't think it's going to be behind. I'd be very surprised if it's going to be behind closed doors. I think if it is going to be behind closed doors, I think they shouldn't play at Old Trafford. I think they should make it LSV that weekend because there's no point. The whole thing is about engaging the fan base into Old Trafford, because last year they obviously had behind closed doors at Old Trafford. But yeah, just to sort of touch a bit on the game as well, a bit more, like what Andy's got there. Yeah, you know, we did control the game a lot, but we've done that on quite a few occasions recently. I think I sort of said with Leicester, it was like we were a cat playing with a mouse, but then we suddenly got had a problem, you know, and I thought that's the way it was going to go, but with Skinner and Skinner Ball, which, you know, anyone who's seen my social media, I'm not convinced at the minute about Skinner and what he's bringing for the team, because I think to an extent he's got to work what he's got, and if it's a situation where the players don't understand Skinner Ball, then he has to change what Skinner Ball is, because he can't change the players until various, you know, if I only spoke English and I tried to teach in Japan, you know, I'm gonna have to pick up a bit of Japanese because I'm not gonna be a good teacher, and that is essentially what I'm thinking there. You know, he can't be so rigid on it. Do you know what I mean? He can't be so rigid on it. I mean,
you sound like an Orlando Pride fan circa 2019.
Yeah, and I say I'm sure we'll touch on it. I'm maybe getting a bit off top here. Apologies, but like, you know, we did well. We won, and that was what was needed. But I must admit, I think the only time I can see like fast attacking football with wingers running down from our half to their half currently is in my dreams, because Skinner seems to have stopped that from happening. The amount of times he would stop, they have to put their foot on the ball and they looked around and they would basically have to pass it back. It was quite strange. So I'd say maybe we've turned the corner, maybe not, but we're still keeping the pressure on.
So just on that then, because I want to bring Millie in as well, but do you think that's potentially a reason why Galton and Hansen may not play many games going forward as well, or not started as many games? I'm not saying that they're out of the equation completely, because Galton is one of our best players when fully fit. But like you say there, Andy, if our tactic isn't to run down the wings, maybe we do play 5 very technically good midfielders and do it that way. Is that something you can see possibly doing?
I forget what someone said, but somebody basically said that the tactics that he used yesterday was basically just essentially like emptying everything he had in the cupboard and hoping that one of them was the right thing. And we kind of got away with it because he basically put all our midfielders on the pitch. So I don't know, maybe. I think it'd be stupid to waste Galton. She's off form at the moment. My shirt that I wore yesterday, and it's in my wardrobe at the moment, has got a Galton on the back. I love her to death, so I'm not saying that with any kind of happiness. But she is not playing very well at the moment. But Katie's not played very well all season, and she's undroppable. So that's also not a consideration in relation to Skinner either. So I don't really know. I'm not sure what Nat thinks about things.
Yeah, I think Tooney can play in the wing, and I think if you actually look at it, and even if you look at Vilda's goal, Alessia was basically playing as the winger, and Bo Risa was through the middle, and I think there was probably someone else who was coming. To be honest, I think they were all sort of played as wingers. I think we'll still see wingers. I know you sort of touched on Hansen and all that kind of stuff not playing, but Hansen wasn't even on the bench from what I remember. So you know, it's not like I don't think she was dropped out. I think maybe, you know, niggles, all that kind of stuff. But then, like what Andy said, Leah came on, and I think when Leah came on, we created more chances as well. It brought a different kind of thing, but it's game changers. And I think it wasn't a case of, oh, he's changing formation, this and that. I think it's actually played some of his better players in their best positions. So like I said, Ladd was in that 6. They could not get past Ladd. Like every time I was worried, oh God. Boom, Ladd took them out, finished. You know, that's what I'm saying. Then, like I said, Risa in the 10, creating chances. She had 5 minimum that I know of. Someone said she had 7 shots on target. No players had that many shots. I'm not sure how it looked on telly, but for me, it looked like, you know, some of them, yeah, she messed up, should have done better. But then there was some great saves from Meg Walsh, as we were saying. I know Stuart's saying we should have been 5-0 up. Yeah, we should have. It's the best that we've looked. But I think it's the best because Vilda plays as 10. That's where Vilda, 8 or 10, that's where you get the best out of Vilda. Where you get the best out of Ladd in your centre midfield. So Tooney can play on the wide. Before, you know, I know I listened to the BBC and they were saying, oh, they prefer Tooney if she was wide. But Tooney can play there. For me, I think, you know, it's good that we had Vilda down the middle. You know, it's good just to get some of you good players on the pitch.
Definitely benefited from being more forward and being more in the game.
Yeah, she
like on television, some of her attempts, like they just they weren't clinical, if that makes any sense. It kind of lacked that final, I don't know if precision is the right word to put it.
But it's clear that we're missing forwards because for me, at points, Vilda was the furthest person forward, but then she's not a striker, you know? Yeah. And so it's clear what we're missing. It's clear that he's going to bring people in.
I sometimes wonder, because, like, again, I insinuated to it earlier, like, with Skinner, he seems to come into, I mean, this is the second team that I've seen him come into, and he seems to come in with, like, a very clear vision of what he wants to do, regardless of who his personnel is. And asking for time to actually instill it. And I sometimes wonder if he's too committed to his vision. Because, like, you know, in this situation, he's trying to get this slow buildup, but you also have to win. And if you don't have, like, a striker at the front that you can rely on, I'll be fair, something like a Miedemar or a Kerr, where you could rely on that, you could maybe just at least chuck a ball at some point and get a goal out of them every game. Without that, trying to change the way that you're going when you don't have the personnel, I think this is what we've seen, why we've seen United kind of seem to be stalled for the last month and a half. And I don't know, you guys have seen more of the matches than me, but this seemed to be the first time that there was a little bit of change in his philosophy on how to attack. But I don't think it's enough change if in the short term, like in the long term, it might work for his vision. And we did see that at Orlando. Like the last year that he was there, they really did start to play in the way that he had been talking. But in the short term, I don't think it's beneficial to the team.
Yeah. For me, I think he's maybe realised, I don't know if you think, Andy, but this game was basically win or you're in 10th kind of thing. I know it didn't work out like that, but it was win or you're in 10th. And I think potentially he realises now, it's like you said, it sort of annoyed a lot of us, didn't it? Oh, it doesn't really matter. Oh, the process is more important. No, mate, you're at Man United. You need to win. Just win. No one cares. And everyone was saying, people were going, I beg you just win. I beg you just win. Just don't care. 1-0. Beg you just win. I know people are saying that they were surprised at the time when he said I was a bit, but I don't care at the same time because I was just like, I beg you win. So if we have to run it in the corner and sort of see it out so that they don't go and score another goal, then we all fought, then we crumble. For me, I just beg they win, and that's what they've done. So, and as well, I was surprised at how, like, I know they celebrate, but it was like, oh my God, we've won. And we kept a clean sheet, and it was like relief.
Yeah,
I've never seen them so happy just winning a game.
It was like us. It was like us. I mean, to be honest, I agree with. I wouldn't be modest about obviously that word match going because everything you've just said about the analysis of Skinner, Catherine, I agree with every syllable of exactly what you just said. I mean, to be honest, I mean, if he would have lost yesterday, and if he loses on in Villa, it really isn't going to be nice for him. He has a strong, powerful fan base that you commented on before about us going home and away and making noise and that kind of stuff. And I think that has been slightly harder to achieve with Skinner Ball so far because it's very frustrating and very hard to get behind. I'm hoping he's going to start looking to add in January and certainly add in summer. I think he needs to understand that if a player is performing poorly, they need to be rotated, not just kept in because we are not Birmingham, Mark. We are Man United. It is not good enough to be mid-table, Mark. I'm just talking to him directly. It is not. I'm not playing games, Mark. This is Man United. And if you didn't understand that, you shouldn't have took the job in the first place. And I think another thing that I'd be interested in relation to recruitment is, unfortunately, we seem to have two types of players or two styles of players that we seem to be looking at the moment. Either we're running a crash or we're running a hospital rehabilitation centre. So we're either running people that are a bit young, that have some great performances and that, will be brilliant. Tuni's the best example. The first one that's come over the line, we got her really young. And, how fantastic that she's here. But we've got a lot of young players that I think that are crying out for an older player to give a bit of analysis and a bit of guidance towards. I mean, Alicia Russo isn't exactly old. She's young as well. And, you're asking her as a striker, basically, not only just that she needs to be fed, basically. Currently, she's going to the supermarket, finding the food, cooking the food and eating it herself. She needs help. She needs the person to be feeding balls through to her. And then you look at the most recent striker that we brought in, Martha Thomas, she can't stay healthy. That's not a criticism, it's a fact of life. So I don't understand what we're doing. Now, I understand maybe what's happened here. So I'm going on a bit. What's happened here is, like, look at Mannion. Mannion, it's worked out for. So Mannion is a top-class defender that you could argue that we wouldn't have got off City if she hadn't had that ACL injury that was devastating. But because you didn't have much playing time, we got her that way. And we've managed to keep her healthy. So we've now suddenly got a top-class defender in our ranks that previously we probably wouldn't have been able to have got in any other way. So maybe that's why we're looking at players that have previously struggled with injuries, thinking, well, if we can get them fit, then we can get them not below par, but we can get them on a discount almost. We can maybe try and get them in that way. But I think, Mark, there's only so many double black fits you can do. We need a striker, and we need a clear striker. That woman's a striker. We can't keep doing, well, if we just do this, twist this, do this, that, and the other.
And the development of Russo, like, I don't think Skinner's way of playing isn't helping Russo develop because she's just not getting enough chances. Like, at her age, with the amount of this is only her second year. Like, with the amount of experience, she needs to be getting chances, even if she's missing them, to develop. And I don't think she's getting enough of that under Skinner's style at the moment. I think he's kind of placed himself in a weird catch-22 where I agree with him that he's right, that it's important to bring in young players that you can keep at the club, that can develop to become Man United. But at the same time, it's Man United and you need to win. So it's how do you get those young players and develop them while at the same time ensure that they're winning. And the more this goes forward where United aren't really a team that you can consistently rely on to come out and they have the more it'll have to go towards the winning side, if that makes any sense. Because if you want to attract players that you can win with, you have to be winning. And increasingly, that's becoming the side that's necessary over, I'd say, the development.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. Like, at this point, if I was looking on the market, I would look for more experienced players that could come in.
Yeah, and I think just a quick good minute, I think the problem is that if you start becoming a crash and you start developing young players from start to finish, all you end up doing is Chelsea go, thank you very much, Arsenal go, thank you very much, because nobody wants to stay in a development team, which I'm not saying we ever would be. Trust me, I'm not going to let that happen. I don't think any of the fans would. But so I just hope that he understands it has to be a balance, because Emma Hayes is sniffing around Ella too, 100%. If she could, she would. So we have to give her a reason to stay, and we have to push on. And obviously, I know we mentioned on the thumbnail about Jackie and about keeping her as well. You know, she isn't young and she isn't old either. She needs performances now. So we need, as you say, to tip the balance towards winning rather than just it was a good performance.
I find that Jackie just hasn't been used creatively in the last couple of months. Like when you watch her, I used to watch her when she was at Frankfurt. I saw a couple of her games, and if you watch her like playing for the Netherlands, I feel like she is better utilized there to create going forward to the point where you don't know what you'll get out of her than she has been at United. At United, she just seems predictable, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you guys agree.
I think she was really good last year. That was the best year. I think she played as an 8. It was Lad behind her. Lad was, like I said, protecting that back four, and Jackie was just on the little centre circle, spraying balls through balls all the way through. And now I'm thinking, well, with the way that Risa was running onto those balls, for me, we said on Twitter, just Jackie, it's clear. Jackie walks back in. Jackie has the 8. Haley has the 6. Risa has the 10. For me, that's it. You know, we can say about Tooney this and that. Yeah, Tooney's great, but like you say, isn't it? We need to win. For me, that's the best midfield that we have. Now I've seen a thing in there. I know Jockey sort of touched on the players that we need to bring in, and he's saying Rachel Daly. And you know, for me, I would. Pains me, but I would, even though she's Leeds, I'd take her. Just that's what we need, a bit of experience. Yeah. Someone who's won before, someone who can drag a team through up top. For me, people talk about Russo too much. Russo. I love Russo, but it's like you said, you need that. You need her to develop into that player. She is not the medium out of care. I don't even think she's really the Daly. I think Daly, basically, if you look at it in the NWSL compared to Russo, she is banging the goals when you need them. I'm not saying that Russo can't, but I think for me, Stina Blackstenius is there. I think go and get her.
Daly would definitely bring, like, she brings fire, if that makes any sense. Like if she is on during a match, she can be really dangerous and be the game changer if she's utilized properly, though. Like
what I want to say though, she's in Leeds. She's not in Manchester, even though I don't know if she's staying with, but she's training at Leeds camp. I don't know. So I think for me, Kirsty Mewis is training at Spurs and there's talk that she's going to stay at Spurs. Why is, you know, if she's daily so strongly linked to all these Man United players, I know through
but they're training
personal things
in the UK. I mean, without wanting to touch on players' personal lives, but the reason Mewis is in the UK is because her girlfriend's in the UK, and she's she's training at Spurs to keep staying fit during the off season.
Rachel Daly, a girlfriend. So why the hell is she not training at Carrington?
Well, that would sort on that. I tried to allude to that, but well done.
I don't care. You know, why is she not training at Carrington? Yeah, she's training there. Why are they not coming into training together? And I don't know if it's sort of, you know, you touched on, we need experienced players. Everyone knows we need experienced players. I think he's going to bring in a few players, but are they going to be, you know, like we're saying, that top draw? Or is it going to be, like you say, crash, thingy, getting this one on the free, getting this one on loan, getting cheap? It's Man United at the end of the day. You can only get so much stuff from Aldi and Lidl, and we're supposed to be bloody thinking about qualifying for Champions League. And then we're thinking, Jackie's going to leave, this one's going to leave. You know, for me, I expected a bag full of I expected Tooney to be the first one, and I expected loads more to sign up. Why isn't Millie signed up? I think Millie changed the game for me. I think Millie, when I was watching her, I like Mannion, but for me, Millie is above Mannion. I love Mannion as well, and I feel so bad saying this, but for me, Millie picked up the ball and she was playing that forward. Whereas I've seen with Mannion, she just plays it sideways. She does that sideways a lot. And I feel like Millie, I don't know what it is, but she's got more confidence in her. And she just picked that ball and tried it and played the balls over the top and was doing that. And whether someone else was coming in trying to, intercept her, she didn't care. She still played the ball.
See, I kind of agreeing, but in a slightly different way. I actually would. I think I would keep Mannion on the pitch, but swap for Millie. Maria Torres-Dottier has been wobbly, to be polite, in a lot of these last few games, and but yeah, you know, as another part of the defense, you know. But I agree that Millie has done really well since she's come back. But I mean, just touching on the sort of themes that Catherine and that was going on there as well, I agree completely. I mean, the problem that we've got at the minute is that we are relying on top players to stay because they love Man United. Yeah. You know, Jackie was a kid Man United fan. Ella Toon was a kid Man United fan. You know, Risa apparently it's her dream to be for Man United, and that must, you know. But these are professional players. That must you know, give us a bit over other teams. But the key word in that sentence is a bit. So, you know, if Leon come knocking, then, for example, then I'm not sure about Jackie. Remember when she's a little girl running around with United kit is going to actually keep her here, for example. You know,
I also think with what happened last year with Casey wanting to leave and this no longer being a new project where everybody can jump on board, you're not going to get that novelty boost of, hey, I get to play for this team that's finally decided to commit to women's football. I just don't think you'll get a Jackie coming in anymore if they don't start winning. If 100%. They don't show that there is intent to be a winning team. And I'm talking not just on the pitch, but off the pitch.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the real player that I really think we need to sort of, you know, flog anything that isn't actually tied down to keep is Onabaje. Like Barcelona, as soon as they're ready for her, are gonna go for her. She's Catalan. She loves it to death. I think in that area where you're born, you're basically given a Barcelona kit as your first piece of clothing. And
I do have a question. Do you guys know you're with Una? Do you know until when that you're talking about Una, right? Because
yeah.
I pronounce it wrong. Sorry. Do you know until when that $500,000 price tag applies in Spain?
21.
I'm not sure. 21 is it? Well, when she's 21, is that when she's 21?
So when after she's 21, it goes.
Is it 21 or 23? Because I know if they're under 23, so how old is she now?
I just noticed she's got an extension on what she's got. So for me, it could be that they just enact that. But then the thing is that this is what I'm saying. I expected her to
23
sign
at the end of the season.
This is it. That's what I've heard. Yeah, Barcelona are going to come knocking as soon as it becomes that they've got a space.
And then we're looking at potentially enacting that extension, and then probably having to get money off her for her.
Yeah.
You know, I just think they need to. I don't know. I mean, I've heard different things. It's not even transfer season podcast, but it's about, for me, I don't know. It's the best performance I've seen from him. Is it? But then I saw a really great performance for City. Then I saw then we were okay for Arsenal. Then we were rubbish against Leicester. So what we're going to see on Wednesday, that's the big thing for me now. How he plays, how he brings in. For me, Fuso needs to play. I was surprised she wasn't on the pitch when I think I first saw that lineup. That's the one person I was like, is Fuso there or not? And it was like she wasn't. I was disappointed with that. But I don't know. He even said that there's going to be rotation. There has to be. You can't play the same players. For me, Sunday is more important than Wednesday. You know, I want to win and get through. But for me, I think it's winning in the league now is everything. You just got to win in the league. I don't even care about cup anymore. I think they've messed that up from last week, to be honest. We just got to win in the league.
I do wonder, Richard Fay announced last week that the club was going to appoint a head of women's football. I'm wondering what you guys think about having that extra layer of.
We're really behind it, believe it or not. You might not think we would be. You probably think, because obviously it's a bit of a foreign concept, isn't it? It's not really as common in Europe. But I think we need it. I think we need, because hopefully that person, God help United if they do this wrong in relation to recruitment, is a woman's football person and has experience, clearly defined experience in the culture and the differences between being in the women's game and the men's game. I mean, the problem we've got at the minute with our current general manager is that they're essentially men's they're basically sort of like men's team people that have gone on a training course to learn about women's football kind of situation. And we passed that stage now. We need an expert head of women's football. And the best thing that I like, because we're obviously, me and Nat and others are still not really sure about Skinnerball, is that I believe that they're going to speak into, at least, I think it's the define, but I imagine that we speak into the playing style of the team. So I don't think he's going to get free reign to do all this random rubbish he's doing at the minute. I think he needs accountability. At least, even if he's right, at least on Monday morning, if he does something stupid on Sunday, on Monday morning, he's going to go into an office and someone's going to say, what were we doing there, Mark? And he's going to have a conversation. At the minute, he's not got that accountability. And that's going to make him a better manager. Because
it's also about like supporting him as well. So it's one thing putting the heat on him when you obviously don't get the performance, but hopefully there's someone there that can support him by giving him players that he wants, or setting up a structure there that can scout certain players that they wanted. You spoke a lot about what kind of players that we could bring in. I do think it'll be experienced players, because the way Skinner plays is very complex. I do think that he's trying to do something potentially that he doesn't need to do, but he's obviously fully behind this. So he's going to be trying to bring in players who can get behind this way of playing. And it doesn't look easy, because he's got a good group of players there who have found it difficult. So I think he's going to bring in experienced players, and hopefully this head of football can obviously help get these kind of players in as well.
I do wonder who they could get, but I think if they get somebody, if they get the right person, it could make a difference going forward with recruitment. To really
I don't know how much you know, Catherine, about Spanish football, but a name that I wanted as manager before Skinner was Maria Price. She's at Levante. She had a big impact in Sevilla. And then obviously went to Levante, brought Levante into the
but she's a manager.
But apparently she's done stuff behind the scenes. I don't know. But then she's left the club that she's at now. So I'm not saying that that's going to be her, but she's on the move somewhere.
But I just want to pick up what John was saying, and it's good to make those points. But why is it so complex? What's the benefit? Like, I still don't understand. Like, you could say, this is my style because it gets a team that does this. And I don't know what the this is yet. do you know what I mean? I'm not sure why it has to be so complicated.
I wonder if it's because I sometimes wonder if like Skinner, when it comes to trying to explain his philosophy, overcomplicates it when he speaks to the media. But like he's had the same. On the other hand, he's had the same type of philosophy both at Orlando and at United, which is, I want to build a team that controls and that can be adaptable to our opponents. But the reality is, to be adaptable, I think you need an identity to start with. And that identity I've never felt at either club that he's really, truly outlined what it is. And I think if you don't have a strong identity to start with, you can't talk about being adaptable, because you need to have an identity you can fall back on that'll win before you adapt, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, just to be clear about that comment on there as well, I didn't mean that it's 100% it's definitely going to happen. I mean, if in a situation Barca are happening, she'll bite their hand off. And maybe Barca's such a high level that they might not find space for Honor. We, from the United fans, I suppose we would hope for that to happen. But
that's where we're at, though. We're playing that this one doesn't go there, and Jackie doesn't get this offer from this team, and this doesn't happen, But I just think there'll be other teams around looking for, and I hope that she would stay. If she was going to stay in England, it would be staying at United. But I think that now we do need to just say, this is our style. This is what we're doing. Like I said, what is Skinner's style? What is he doing? I know Mark just said it, but it just seems like, I think if it's confusing for us, it must be confusing for the players as well. That's what I think, because I think he gets so how can you say excitable, and if he says something about it, I've said to him, I've said, this isn't working, this is what and then he says, no, we need to do it because
he said it to him.
The way that you break it down is by, and I'm thinking, you're chatting shit. And I just say it to him straight. It's shit. It's rubbish. What you're telling to me is rubbish. I don't want to hear it. I want to win. And that's what you don't. Oh, we'll get there. We're so close. All this shit. But I do think deep down he knows, and I think it's coming. I do. Well, I'm not sure he does.
I think sometimes he kind of sounds like a high school student trying to sound like a college professor.
Yes.
Trying to be cool, trying to be everyone's friend. Stop being friends and start, being ruthless.
To be fair, right? Let's just look at some evidence very quickly on this as well, right? If you look at there's quite a funny meme that we kind of saw where basically the first interview we did, he looked like he was like, really happy and youthful. The last interview we did looked like he was about to go into a disciplinary. Like he's literally he's aged he's aged about 10 years in the last 3 months. And I'm glad, Mark, because I'm going to make you age even more, mate, because you can't go on about the fans being a great asset and a flame and a power and all this other bollocks. Because
to be fair to him, going from like the Orlando sunshine to the beautiful Manchester weather can do that.
Yeah, exactly. We will turn our guns on you, but it's because we want to push you forward and push the club forward. And I'm hoping we get a great director of football in. I mean, head of women's football. I'll be honest, I'm not truly understand the difference between a manager and a director of football. I know that I feel it is a bit of an American thing. I'm not sure if it has come from America.
It's more like the director of women's football is more to be like a connection between the club and the manager to take some of that pressure off, like behind the scenes, what is going on, and to help whatever the manager's vision going forward, but also to help whatever the club's. That's been my understanding, but I don't think it's as clear a designation as a job as a head coach. Like head coach is very, very straightforward. This is what you do, and like the general manager from club to club can be different. There are clubs where they are the ones who actually go out and recruit the players, and the player, like the head coach, just plays whomever he's given. Whereas there's other places where they're just that link. They're like an extra person that is there to take some of the heat off of, okay, you want this person, I'm going to go and work to get them.
That's what I think it is. That's what I think it is. And especially it talks about facilities, upgrading it, making sure that all teams can play, all teams play the same. I think it's all about them having not a control, because obviously Charlotte Healy does the thing, but they'll sort of, Charlotte will go to this person. This person is going to be sort of like the general manager, basically. That's what I think. I think they're going to be over everything. They're going to, because basically the person who did a lot of the stuff was John Murter originally. And then I think he's done such a great job. He started working with the academy. Then he worked closely with the women's team and he did a great job. He's got director of football. So now he's doing the men's, but he can't go and rush out and sign Sancho and then rush and do whatever for the women's team at the same time. So now it's just like getting someone alongside John to do the job that he's doing. For me, I think you have to get I know people have said Shivy and Siobhan Chamberlain, who is doing a master's in this kind of thing, but I think even if we got her, even though she knows the club and she knows what it means and Man United and knows about everything, I feel like if we did get her, it would be setting up to fail in a way, because I think it's so big, and I feel like we need now.
I think you need somebody who's experienced. I don't know where you get that person, but I think you need somebody who can, even if it's short term, and then maybe you bring Siobhan in later, somebody who could come in and just it's not a crisis, but just stabilize things and set it on a trajectory really quickly and know how to do that.
I mean,
I think there was someone in Leon. I think it was sorry, Andy. I think it was who was Ada Hedberg just overtaken as the goal scorer. You know,
Lotte.
Apparently, that's what she does something in Leon. She does something in Leon, and I don't think it's director of football, but I think she does something behind the scenes. I'm not saying that she'd come to Man United, but that's the kind of person maybe you need. Someone who's already doing it. But are people going to apply if they're already in a great club? But then maybe they would, because it's a step up. But
the thing I think to be honest, the only example I can think of is the two GMs that have gone over to America. You've got Emi Aluko for Angel City, and as much as I dislike every syllable of her, Jill Ellis as the San Diego with Casey underneath it. And maybe the Jill Ellis-Casey dynamic is the interesting one that maybe United needs to replicate. You've essentially got a very, very experienced, very successful general manager in Jill Ellis, even though she's trying to ruin the game at the minute with the biannual World Cup, who's there to help a young manager who's shown some success become a great manager. So maybe our new director of football is going to be someone who's currently a manager, but is kind of getting a bit sick of the whole management thing. but wants to still
Maria Pry, that's why she left Levante.
Exactly, yeah, and wants to still stay in, but kind of step back a little bit. And then Skinner can talk about waves and hippy dippy crap, and they can keep him on the straight and narrow, and maybe that's what we need.
Lotta Schelling is her name.
That's the one. That's the one I want. Lotta, come on.
Here we go. So, Ryan's just put this out.
Yeah! We're away! And it's a team, whatever team gets in. Team three.
I don't know where they are. I know where they are.
Oval. Is that where the Oval? Yeah.
Hang on, is that in Devon?
We're going on a tour.
Oh, is this the FA Cup?
Yeah.
I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, the draw was meant to start at 7, but they're about as quick as Skinner's attack. It's taken 53 minutes to get to the meat of it. But no, because I don't know if you're aware, Catherine, with the bus, it was a great situation, but we left Manchester at 6 a.m.
I mean, like I was saying, I work Australia time, so I always think it's tomorrow and get my days mixed up. But I was literally going to bed and thinking, why is Nat up on a bus? Like, what time is it?
Well, the thing is, right, Devon's even worse. So if we do that in a day, we're going to be able to more.
I don't know if it's Devon, is it? It might be.
It's Bridgewater, isn't it? It's Devon.
Let us know, guys. Is it Devon? We don't. No, Maria Bright is leaving. Jockey, she's left.
Hey, can I go back to the Brighton game for a second?
Yeah.
That lad goal, like I think it was clearly like the setup was clearly drilled.
Yeah.
But like even if it was a flick that she had intended, or even if it was a flick she hadn't intended, I think we really have to give it to her because I thought that was impressive. Anyway, I wanted to
if I could just jump on a question. So just one here. What is Skinner's style? So like a lot of people, obviously, the way I look at it,
you're on the pre or post watershed version, John.
No, I'll go for. I'll have a quick chat there, and me and Natalie's on a show on the Orphan United main account in half an hour's time, so we might talk a little bit about it then as well.
Slow burn to domination, but it never gets to the ladder. I don't know.
Well, obviously we'll see. Look, his play style is quite simple. He doesn't want to give the ball away, so it's a lot of short, sharp passes. So that's why we don't. When all the fans say switch, play long balls, this, that, and the other, he decides against that because he doesn't want to necessarily use the wingers. And when I say use the wingers, I mean literally running down the wing. Okay, so what he'll do then, so when you do see a player who ends up with the ball on the wing, they'll probably either cut in or just play back. And they'll always try and play like 3 versus 1. Go on.
Yeah, I just want to talk.
It's not Man United.
No. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about that. That works if it is quick, short, and sharp. But it's not quick. It's putting your foot on the ball and then passing it side. So it's all right moving it across the pitch, and it doesn't move quick. If Dennis is on and if Vix is on or Mark, we went to watch the development team, the under-21s, Charlotte Healy. Literally, the centre back picked up the ball. There was nowhere to go. She passed it back to the keeper. The keeper didn't take a touch. The keeper quickly passed it out to the left wing, to the left fullback. The left fullback ran her with it a bit, passed it forward. They were already up the pitch in a crossing position within about 30 seconds. That's how you want to play. But what Skinner does is put your foot on the ball, turn, pass. But we didn't see that. And then actually, if you watch some of the highlights, there was a pass that Katie did, and it was over the top, and it was when Wilder should have scored, but I think she probably hit it a bit too far in front, and you can hear him shout, "Well done, Katie!" and she just put a ball over the top, pretty much. Oh, great work! And he actually praised that kind of just dink over the top. And Wilder just ran into it. So it's like he wants to play like that, but then he's playing like that. So I don't know if he's sort of adapted himself to be a bit more direct.
But what it is for like the first, like, say, 2/3 of the pitch, they'll play short, sharp passes. And then when it comes to like the killer ball, it's not like a crossing from the wing. It's more of the attackers are moving around to draw the centre backs out of position so someone can run into the space that they've left from. So when there is a ball over the top, they should be running into space that's available.
But I think the problem is that
that's where that is. That Taunton. Don't know where Taunton is, but sorry,
Yeah,
go on.
I think the problem is because your build-up is so repetitive for what you're doing in a match, and so often quite slow in it. It's predictable where you're going in advance. So
is that because the players aren't used to it? So they need, once they are used to it, they can start speeding up and start playing more 1-2s and stuff like that. We could go on for this forever because I love talking about this kind of stuff lately.
But that's why I did this. It's because I think it's clear what he's trying to do, but at the same time, there's really no clear idea of what he's doing, especially in the latter part of the field. Like, it's great to control the ball until the final third, but if you get there and nobody can try to figure out exactly what you're doing, all you're doing is allowing your opposition to set themselves up to defend properly, which you've seen time and time again.
Just to pivot on Bridgewater a little bit as well, it is Taunton. You're right, Nat. I was looking at that then. I just want to say this directly to our fan base because it looks terrible, but it's actually not as far as what we've just done at Brighton. It looks further. So I've just done a quick Google. From Old Trafford to where they play is 198 miles. So and it says 3 hours, 24 minutes now, if anybody's interested. What we've just done on Sunday is now 4 hours, 8 minutes and 244 miles. So it's actually a bit closer. But if you look at it because of the way the UK is shaped, it looks a bit weird. It looks further away. So don't let the people that put you off. Brighton is doable in a day. I'm still alive. That worked out quite well, and definitely we need that support, to come down and see it. And it'd be a night, and it is in Somerset. But it's right on the edge of Devon, so it wasn't too bad.
As a Canadian, I can say 3 hours. That's taking a short trip to go see Grandpapa.
Man City are playing Nottingham Forest. I've got Nottingham links. That would have been great. But listen, Dev season. We're free. Free Maz. Free Kana.
We come to the end of the show. Me and Nat's going to be back on in half an hour's time. But Catherine, thank you very much for joining us.
Can
we get like a play of the match from you before you go? Play of the match.
Sorry, there's something going on behind you I didn't hear.
Player of the match.
Oh, player of the match? I'll give it to Lad. I liked the difference that I saw from the other matches.
Andy, player of the match?
A little bit of Risa.
No.
My head on Sunday said Wilder, clear, but just watching and just knowing how she did, Lad, both of them, Lad and Wilder. Just what did I say? Justification, been vilified. I've been.
If you get two, I'll give a second one. Brighton's Mary Walsh, because if it hadn't been for her, you would have won by a lot more.
True. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us again, Catherine. Andy, thanks for coming on a Monday show. I know you usually come on the Friday.
Happy to do more. As I say, always happy to be back.
Will you be with us on Friday?
I'm there on Friday. Yeah.
I should be on that one with you as well, Andy, because I know that I'm on half, I'm off half. It all depends on if I'm working or not. But yeah, I'll be on that one. Nat, you might be on tomorrow with Craney on the Tuesday show.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh yeah, Tom Fitton, good one. We're going to be talking. We'll definitely talk about the FA Cup draw and potentially what young players are coming through at Man United. But definitely talk about how FC have got on and that league. But I know Tom knows about a lot of our young players coming through. So there's some names I'll drop on him. But it's going to be live. So get in a live manager. That'll be good. So if you want to know anything, we'll try and talk about stuff. That's good.
That'll be a good one. Wednesday's match day. Thursday we've got Risa on. Friday Night Fan Forum, and Saturday should be Ben and Match Show as well. That leads to another match day on Sunday. So plenty of content out there. Thanks for everybody in the comments, and we shall see you again soon. Thank you, guys.